We live in relative safety from day to day, but as these videos show, traumatic events can happen at any day, any time. None of us are truly ever completely safe, and these videos could have easily happened to anyone, even you.
Chills.
Number 19. Self-defense. When James hears screaming and glass shattering in the hallway outside of his apartment, he knows that there is going to be some serious trouble ahead. He snaps into survival mode and grabs his gun and also sets up a camera to record his door. He opens the door and peeks outside, ready to kill if necessary.
Hey, wait! Do not let him in.
James has been spotted and now has moments to react. You'll never believe the struggle that happens next. Imagine minding your own business in your apartment and suddenly having to deal with this encounter.
Hey, you up! You up, please! I gotta get my... Calm down! Calm down!
That was Twain Thomas kicking through a door and then hacking down the rest of it with a machete. 3 shots put him down before he can slice the couple in their own apartment. Make no mistake about it. This man was intent on going on a killing spree. After the action happens, the two have this short exchange.
How you kill me? What? You were gonna kill me?
You're right.
Well, then I did the right thing.
But neither man was killed that day. Twain survived and was sentenced to 5 years in prison with 10 years parole upon release. He was blacked out at the time and says he had no idea what he was doing until after he had been shot. Number 18. Ghost bully. A lot of children have had the misfortune of being singled out and picked on by their own personal bully. But there's one child in Spanish Town, Jamaica, who has had the worst luck of all. He says that they are being bullied by an evil spirit, and his parents and local town all believe him. Plus, there's video evidence for proof. His face has been blurred out to protect his dark secret. One video shows him sitting in a chair with his family. After being asked a few questions, the ghost decides to take control of the situation. Although he could have been pushing off the ground with his feet, you can't see the floor in this video, so it's hard to tell. One thing is for sure though, look closely and you can see the boy's right arm fly straight up in the air. It's definitely as if he's being grabbed by the wrist and jerked straight back. If he is faking it, then he is a very good actor. Okay, take a look at the second video and tell me what you think. He is just standing against a wall in his neighborhood when all of a sudden... You can clearly see his whole body in this video as the left leg suddenly shoots up, almost as if someone is pulling him by the foot. Again, if this is fake, then he is a great actor with even better balance. It looks like he really is about to fall flat on his face until his mother rushes in to save him. If a ghost really happens to be crossing over into the material realm and grabbing a hold of his shoe here, no one knows exactly why. Still, the local bishop has no doubt that this relentless ghost bully is real. Number 17. The webcam ghost. 2 sisters are playing in their room when they decide to record themselves singing a Disney musical for fun. Midway through their amateur performance, it becomes apparent that the 2 girls are not so alone after all.
No second guessing. Too late to go back to sleep. It's time to trust my instincts. Close my eyes and leave.
The younger sister simply stares at the pitch black doorway in shock, while the other continues singing. Then whatever is with them decides to do this. The video ends with the girls running away screaming for their father to come help. Looking at the video a second time, it does seem as though the door definitely opens on its own. If this is real, then something must have taken a few steps into their room before swinging the water bottle off of their desk drawer. Perhaps a grumpy ghost had gotten tired of their singing, or maybe this was all just a prank. If so, it's a pretty good one. Number 16. The Prowler. This video seems to be split evenly between believers and skeptics. A kid is making a video for his school project when the camera apparently catches something glaring at him through the window. It's quick, so pay close attention if you missed it.
The environment we chose was the taiga boreal forest, which is located in Russia, northern Canada, and
When the dog jumps up to get a tennis ball, it pushes the blinds away and you can just barely make out half of an ape-like face looking into the window. If you still can't see it, then other YouTubers have slowed the video down and taken a screenshot. As you can see, something is clearly looking in on them. If this was just a reflection, then it should look like the back of a student's head, but it is clearly someone's face. It looks like it could be some sort of humanoid. Another possible explanation would be some sort of fake dummy or statue they placed outside of the window. Other people point out that the dog does not look frightened by the face at all, but then again, the dog might have been too focused on getting the ball to notice anything else. Also, if this video was fake, then the dog would have to be taught to jump up on the back of the couch just at the right time, which would be kind of hard to do. Plus, you don't hear or see any commandments given towards the dog. Overall, this video has a very natural feel. Number 15. The Ghost Experiment. A YouTuber named Michael D. McGee has been conducting paranormal experiments for years. Apparently, Michael summons a spirit who is willing to move things on his command. To prove this, Michael takes a metal fruit bowl full of apples and shows it to the camera. He says that whenever he concentrates and asks the ghost to move it for him, it does. After showing that there is no one else in the room and no strings on the floor or attached to the bowl, he places the fruit bowl down, making sure to keep himself in the frame the whole time. This supposedly is what he is able to get a ghost to do.
If there's what I'll say.
Again, I just wanted to stress that Michael insists that this is not telepathy, but rather an actual spirit who he is able to communicate with and give commands to. He has since been able to replicate this experiment with other objects. What separates this video from others is that there are clearly no strings attached. If this is fake, it's unclear as to how he is making these objects move. Number 14. Devoured by bugs. Imagine letting a giant green insect sit on your finger and eat your flesh raw. That's exactly what a YouTuber named Glenn Larson did in a video with a simple description that reads, "Redneck wart removal." Apparently, these long-legged grasshoppers, known as katydids, have no problem being handled as long as they have a chance to eat your skin. In this instance, you can see the katydid work its mandibles deep into Glenn's flesh as it steadily chews off a thick meaty wart. It probably would have eaten all the way to the wart's core if Glenn had let it go on long enough. Fortunately, he puts the thing down before it has a chance to draw blood. Number 13. The Winged Attacker. A group of musician friends are jamming out in the woods in Oregon when a tiny creature suddenly attacks one of them in broad daylight.
It's a bat!
Holy
The bat hits Derek on his shoulder with a dull thud and all of the instruments stop. Everyone watches in disbelief as the tiny creature climbs up his body, and Derek can even feel its cold snout as it plants its tiny sharp teeth into his neck, just inches away from the jugular vein.
And then it just bit me.
It latched onto his shoulder, then crawled up his neck.
He throws the bat off and watches it fly into a tree, where it continues silently watching them from afar. They are freaked out at this point, but they think that it was just a freak occurrence and decide to play some more music. After the bat makes 2 more swipes at the man, however, his friend has had enough and shoots it with a BB gun. The group takes the bat corpse back to the local health department and has it tested. Sure enough, Derek had been bitten by a rabid bat. He had to get rabies shots for days afterwards. Number 12. The Spooky Seat. This video was taken somewhere in South America, and it shows a man sitting on a table at a security monitoring station. Little does he know that he too is apparently being monitored, and not by a camera. After a while, this is what happens to him. Even the people reviewing the footage can't believe what they are seeing. Not only does a nearby chair move on its own, but it also moves in his general direction. It's almost as if the ghost is pulling up a seat directly across from him. Unbelievably, the man doesn't seem to notice this paranormal activity unfolding before him. At least at first. He is looking at his cell phone when suddenly it happens again. This time he sees it, and his reaction seems very legitimate as he becomes startled and tense. He looks behind him to make sure that the security camera is recording all of this for later evidence. Then he hops off the table and stares at the chair before him. Obviously scared now. He waits for it to move again, but it doesn't, so he goes over to inspect it more closely. This is probably the most convincing part of the video, because he would have seen a fishing line if it was a fake prank. Instead, he picks the chair up, puts it back in its place, and then puts a stand in front of it and gets out of there fast. I'm not saying that this video is absolutely 100% real, but it is certainly a possibility. Number 11. The Pub Ghost. A woman is cleaning an English pub after hours one night as a ghost makes a mess of everything behind her. She is mopping the floor when suddenly a sign starts to dance back and forth before returning back to normal. She returns and the sign stops moving, but as soon as she's gone again, this happens.
Fuck off.
No way!
When the cleaning lady returns, she notices that the sign has fallen. She appears to be giving her coworker a hard time. You can't see what they're saying, but you can tell she thinks that he knocked it over and is now telling him to cut it out. He insists that he didn't do anything and steps over for a closer look. As he is peeking around the corner, the mop falls over. He is terrified now and quickly runs away, presumably out of the building and into the night. Number 10. Dinner time. With 2 Barbie dolls in her hands, this little girl is as happy as can be. Her family is recording what should be a loving memory for them to watch over and over again with glee. Instead, if any of them ever watch this video again, it will be in sheer horror. The girl is in the middle of an improvised skit when her father calls something out to her. I think he is telling her to come eat dinner or something like that. Based on what happens next, it looks like the girl wasn't the only one who was listening.
Sara, ven conmigo.
As soon as the girl says something to the effect of "not right now," the Barbie snaps her head back and gives her a glare. Maybe the doll doesn't appreciate the disrespect towards her father, or maybe it's done being played with for right now. Either way, the girl throws both dolls into the air and runs away. Of course, this could be a fake video, but I'm not sure how you would make the doll's head turn like that. For one thing, the girl's hand isn't anywhere near the doll's head, and for another, you can see by looking at the doll's hair that no string has been tied around its head. Most people in the comments of this video think that it's real. Number 9. Fatal malfunction. This terrifying footage was filmed in an elevator in Chile. Jose Acevedo gets on the lift and presses the button. Little does he know that this will be the ride that changes his life forever. As soon as the button is pressed, the doors violently snap shut and the elevator lurches upwards. Jose knows that something is majorly wrong and immediately presses the emergency stop button. Instead of stopping, however, the elevator climbs even faster. There's literally nothing for the man to do except repeatedly push the button, while panicking as the elevator races up 31 floors in less than 15 seconds. Finally, he begins to swat at every button, adrenaline taking over as he desperately hopes that just one button will work and bring an end to this terrible ride. He is absolutely helpless and appears to be too scared to even scream. Unfortunately for him, the only thing stopping this elevator is the roof itself. The elevator slams into the top of the building at full speed, and inside, Jose's broken body slams against the crumpled walls. He survives somehow, but now he has severe head and leg injuries. Also, the damage to his spine means he is sadly unlikely to ever walk again. Number 8. The Broken Reflection. This vintage Japanese footage shows a little girl combing her hair while her mom films. She turns around to show off her new hairstyle, but when she turns back around, something weird happens. Look closely and you'll see that this girl's reflection does not follow her movements. When she turns around, the reflection stays in place. This footage would have been very hard to fake given the limited video editing capabilities of that time, but I guess it's still possible. Otherwise, this girl appears to have a very evil reflection following her wherever she goes. Number 7. The Boss. If you've ever had a sadistic boss, then you'll know how bad they can make you feel. Here a manager walks up and throws some papers onto an employee's desk. She sits and thinks for a moment, then she gets up. It looks like she is going to the window for some fresh air, but the next thing you know, she has opened it up and flings herself to the pavement below. There is no sound in this video, so we'll never know what was said, or even if they were just actors. Despite receiving thousands of hits, this footage has never been verified as real. Number 6. Bubbles. Why are there bubbles in my pool? Craig Lear thought to himself as he looked into his backyard pool. He lived near a golf course in Lakeland, Florida, and he figured that someone must have knocked a golf ball into his backyard, causing tiny bubbles to float to the surface of his pool. He opened up the door and went to the pool's edge for a closer look. It had a pebblestone bottom that made it really hard to see into, so he had to stand directly over the water to look down. It wasn't a golf ball after all. Instead, it was a 300-pound killer reptile. After securing their children and their pets, Craig called animal control and had an alligator trapper come to his home. It took them an hour to wrestle the 9-foot alligator from the pool, and the whole time they didn't know how it was going to react. This story may have had a happy ending, but who knows how many more alligators are lurking at the bottom of pools in Florida right now, or if this one will ever make a return. Number 5. The Paulding Light. A group of people in Michigan are having a casual conversation outside when something unexplainable suddenly interrupts them. The cameraman immediately zooms in on the strange intrusion. This is the Paulding Light, an intensely burning white-hot shimmer that has no explainable source. As the people in this video are talking about what it could be, 2 more lights suddenly appear. The lights fade in and out as they move rapidly across the skyline. Sometimes it's just the red lights, and sometimes the single white light grows extremely large. The objects are moving extremely fast and even seem to be traveling towards them. Still, the group thinks that they are far enough away to be safe, and plus, they are right by their cars in case things get too crazy, so they keep filming. One person in the group is sure that they are watching the headlights of a car, but no one else buys this explanation because of the erratic way the lights are moving. Now, I'm not saying that it definitely is or isn't a car, but the point is nobody knows for sure what the Paulding Light is or how it came to be. With that said, there are some local legends. Some say it's the lantern of a passed away railroad worker who was crushed on the tracks, while others say it's the Grim Reaper himself. I'm curious to read what you think it is after seeing this video. Number 4. Dark Skies. This video was recently taken in Malaysia on a cell phone. Whereas UFO footage is blurry and far away, there's no mistaking what this object is supposed to be in this video. The UFO passes over a house and then takes off in the distance. A short while later, this other footage was taken. The UFO turns sideways and appears to be observing them through a bright white light in the center. It regards them for a moment longer and then the video ends. Overall, it's hard to say if this is a fake video or genuine UFO activity. Most of the comments in the video tend to favor that this really happened. Number 3. Roadkill. This video starts off with 2 friends in a car. The passenger is trying to tell the driver how to get to a location where he found a creature that's beyond explanation. He tells them to make a left and they head down an old service road that's normally reserved for heavy equipment. That's when they see it. A carcass laying sideways in a puddle of mud. The creature is bloated and pink with tufts of coarse black hair that looks almost like quills. You can see 2 giant front legs and then 2 more sets of smaller deformed looking legs, meaning it has 6 legs total and a long tail that is almost as thick as its body. It doesn't look like anything they've ever seen before. They touch it without gloves, and you can see that its blood has mixed in with the water. Many people have pointed out that this thing could have had some strange disease, and that handling it with bare hands was probably a bad move. But as they are touching it, they make another shocking discovery. The creature appears to have a stamp of inspection on its side, almost as if it was raised for meat. Judging from the plastic wrapped around its head, it probably fell off of a truck, which could mean that this strange species is a genetically modified organism that is being transported in mass quantities. Either that or these 2 friends somehow managed to create a very realistic looking prop. Fake or not, this is definitely a very creepy video that could very well be footage of something that the public was never supposed to see. Number 2. Saving the School. This video was taken on the Seattle Pacific University campus in Seattle, Washington. In 2014, a man went off his medications and shot up a college in Seattle after taking the life of a 19-year-old freshman and wounding 2 others with a 12-gauge shotgun. The psycho went into one of the dorm halls to cause more chaos. Fortunately, he wasn't able to get past the doorway thanks to the school safety monitor, John Mays. The brave student came charging around the corner barefoot with only an adrenaline rush and a can of pepper spray. John sees his chance to attack while the gunman is reloading his shotgun. He rushes around and unloads the pepper spray straight into the shooter's eyes. Then he takes him to the ground and disarms him. John quickly runs away and puts the gun away. Then he dives on the man and refuses to let go. What you can barely see is the gigantic hunting knife that the shooter was trying to pull out. If John hadn't jumped on him a second time, the man might have gone on a stabbing spree. He was sentenced to 112 years for his crimes. Before we get to number 1, if you've ever been curious as to what I look like in real life, then follow me on Instagram at DylanIsChillinYT with underscores instead of spaces. I also have a Twitter at YT_chills where I post video updates. I'd really appreciate it if you followed me, and feel free to send me a DM if you have any questions or suggestions. If you'd like to see more of these videos in the future, then hit that subscribe button because I upload a new scary video every Thursday. Number 1. Hell on Earth. According to the YouTuber that uploaded this video, what you are watching is the last moments of a scared man's life. The video begins in a hurry with a man on the verge of having a panic attack in his room. When he finally manages to stop shaking long enough to film, this is the first thing he sees. Arms are literally reaching for him through the ceiling. Each hand comes at him from a different angle, and they all look like they are doing something different. If this is CGI, it's very convincing. Smaller arms are reaching up from under the doorway now, as fresh ones extend from the wall. Suddenly an eye opens in the wall and stares at him once. He gasps and starts to cry. When he refocuses the camera, he sees some sort of tree object with him in his room. This is apparently the last thing he sees. Thanks for checking out this video. Be sure to subscribe because I upload a new scary video every Thursday. Or if you're still not convinced, here are some of our other videos that I think you'd like. Enjoy!